Woo! We's live. We are live. We are live. We are live. And boy, are we excited. What's happening? What's happening? What's happening, good people? Y'all know who it bees out here in these streets, right? These social media streets. It's me, your homegirl, Adosha White, aka Key Lolo. Y'all know what's up. Are you guys? Oh, you know what? It's warm in Cleveland today.
Oh,
It,
finally.
yeah, finally, yeah. We have just a little bit of warmth, and so I was like, oh, but I came outside, with like my hoodie on. I thought it was going to be cold, so we have a little heat here in Cleveland. So everything is going down. I hope you guys are having a wonderful day, and welcome to our. We made 23, girl. We are up to our 23rd episode. That's right. Up to 23 episodes of some of the dumbest, and I do mean the dumbest ish, that people say about black hair. Cheryl and I, we got it going down today. So I'm really, really excited about this topic. But as we wait for a couple of people to come on through the chat, and this topic today again is braiding do's and don'ts. Speaking of don't forget to hit that thumbs up button, and also don't forget to share the content. But what I do want to talk about, as we're waiting for some people to come in the chat, are some don'ts. Are you aware that there is a list of black authors on the banned book list in America, in the states that can ban books? Did you know that?
I'm not surprised.
Oh, well, let me just roll this off while we're waiting for some folk to come through before we get started. Number one, Stamped. I can't believe they want to ban Stamped. That's an awesome book, okay? Go Tell It on the Mountain. Well, we knew they was going to try to ban James Baldwin because, that's just how, though I've never read the book. We also have The Bluest Eye. Toni Morrison has 3 books on the banned book list. So she has The Bluest Eye, she has Beloved, and she has The Song of Solomon. Banned here in the United States. The Invisible Man. Who knew? I know. How you? Okay, you ready for this one? Malcolm X autobiography as told to Alex Haley. Banned. I'm not making this up. I'm not making this up. Who else is banned? Native Son, New Kid, Hood Feminism. I don't even know how you're going to, the name alone, I've never read that one. This one blew me out the water. The Hate You Give. How can you ban The Hate You Give? Such a good book. Teenagers need, that's a really, I would have loved to have read a book like that while I was in school. All Boys Aren't Blue. Well, you know why they banned that one. I think that was a no-brainer. I Know Why the Cage Bird Sings. Now, this stuff was required reading, but it's banned. Their Eyes Were Watching God. I know! Banned. Yeah, banned. And you're the last but not least, you guys ready for this one? The Color Purple.
No.
Banned. Don't cook it up. Look it up, as Chill would say as he's rocking it out in Egypt or Kemet. Yes, that one blew me all the way out the water. We're talking about banned books by African American authors. I've read about half of the books on this list, and I just, and since they banned it, I hope that means that people will go out and buy the books so the authors can get their just due. So banned books, I thought you might really, really, really like that one, okay? Also, before we get into the topic, I want to give, what do I do with my little notes here?
It's surprising that Uncle Tom's Cabin isn't interesting.
Now you know they're not going to ban old Harriet Beecher Stowe. They're just they ain't gonna ban her. You know, I don't. No.
Oh, so it's more based on the author as far as you're concerned.
I'm not quite sure. I didn't actually read the article, but it was just saying that these are 10 black, maybe that was it. These are the black authors that are banned. Now, I don't know that this is across the United States, but for sure in those states where they're banning books, those books are banned. So you can't get those at the I don't think you can even, when books are banned, can you buy them? I think you can buy them, but they won't be in your libraries and they won't be in school. Is that correct?
Well, it's definitely not being read in
Uh,
learning institutions.
Yeah, so the banned books, guys. Welcome, 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 welcome to the two in the chat. We appreciating you. We're gonna have a wonderful, wonderful discussion. Our topic today are braids, do's, and don'ts. And also, let me just thank our LinkedIn people. I just found out, Cheryl, this week while I was in the salon, that a lot of people are actually watching us on LinkedIn. They're just not saying anything. So welcome LinkedIn. I see you guys out there. So those of you on LinkedIn who are watching, we know we're not that LinkedIn, material, but we thank you anyway. So to all the folks that's on LinkedIn that don't want to say anything, it's all good in the neighborhood with Key Lolo. You know what I'm saying? It's all good, all right? Also, I would like to thank Forum 360. I got my first official interview for the documentary, and I will put that up when it airs. And Cheryl, I just, all I talked about, I just gave you your 15 seconds of praise, okay?
Thank you.
Yeah, 15 seconds of praise for Cheryl. And I did say she's going to kill me for this one, but I'm not going to be a spoiler alert, okay? But that's going to be, that's through PBS. So that's a local access channel here in Cleveland. So it'll be up on
Congratulations.
YouTube. Yeah, so thank you, Dr. Leah Love. She's the cosmetologist hosting. Again, that's Forum 360. And then also, I would like to thank Cleveland Observer. So I got my first initial write-up is coming. So this is really happening. Again, this documentary, it is called, there it is back there, The Narrative. And this is Let the Truth Be Told. And we are going to be confronting the miseducation and misinformation about Afro hair like you would not believe. We were trying to see if we can get the trailer to show up. So Cheryl was doing some tinkering over there. But if we can make it happen, then we'll show it to you. Y'all know y'all won't be messing with it. But anywho, we'll go ahead on and drop the bomb tonight, okay? After we do this, we'll upload it, put it on YouTube, and then that way everybody can see it. So we'll be ready to get some feedback. Also, Target is kicking off their Black Friday early. Just want to let y'all know, okay? Y'all want to get y'all shopping on Friday. Target said we're gonna do this early. I'm like, you know what? Only in America is it going down like that, all right? Hello, Terry Ali. I see you in the chat. Yes. You know I got you all up in the documentary. I just want to let you know, Terry. Don't be trying to come after me, old boss. I don't want to hear it. Yes, I can't do nothing without thanking Terry Ali. So welcome. We are ready to have a dynamic discussion. And the topic today are braiding do's and don'ts. So we know that braids are commonly used with all types of hairstyles, where you can braid it and add hair on, you can braid it and add hair in, you can braid it and you can rock it as is. So we're talking about all the different types of braiding. But before we get into the topic, Cheryl, you wouldn't happen to have any history about braiding? So some people may not know that there's a rich history on braiding. Can you kick it off with a little history about braids? I'm going to mute my mic and welcome everybody in the chat. Don't forget to go ahead and hit that thumbs up button because this one's going to get juicy.
Unfortunately, there is not one exclusive history, only because it's a cultural expression, a tribal expression. Doesn't have one fingerprint or African fingerprint. And I do think that one thing that is culturally consistent, we do know is intimate. And we do know that hair is part of your aura. And so we do know that that's consistent no matter what part of you're in, the southern part and eastern part or southern part, western part. But we do know that it is something that did not have a commerce background. It didn't start there, obviously. That's a westernized perspective of hair braiding. But in the overall balloon, in the umbrella, let's focus on the fact that it is a part of our cultural expression. And one of the things that braiding does show is that hygiene and beauty and grooming is essential to healthcare and well-being. And so, but as far as it having a historical kind of absolute, it's too cultural, it's too vast, it's too uh, it's not secular. It's just it's tribal, and so and you learn it um, from you know as a child. So
Here. All right, so that's a little bit of history about braiding, and that for sure it goes way back. We talk about way back. We call this BC era, so we know braiding definitely is before Christ. And Cheryl just said, the origins are going to be hard to pin down. But here, hello, Miss Lizzie, you ready for this conversation? All right, Liz Marie, it's going down. So here's a couple of things that I learned about braiding when I visited West Africa. I wish I had invited Fatu. Maybe when we come back with part 2, because we're going to talk about the edges next. Edges has to have its own conversation, and we'll invite Fatu to get on this platform if she can. But here's a couple of things, just 2 things that I did learn about braiding when I visited the Gambia in 2019. So for all the rave review, 3 things that I learned about braiding when I visited the Gambia is that number 1, corn roll braiding or cane roll braiding, that we are so proud to just love, and this is from Mama Africa, and when we see them biting off of us boxer braids and Bo Derek, they said that is like the lowest form of braiding. They have 5 different braiding techniques in West Africa, and so cornrow braiding is not the epitome of braiding. And so I tried all 5, and remember the name of my initiative was called Textures Intercultural Exchange. So people like, oh, you went to Africa and you wrote the cosmetology curriculum, you went over there with your Western stuff. No, I did not. I was the facilitator. So this definitely, the curriculum in the Gambia definitely captures Gambia and Senegal. They call that Senegambia. So I just had like the blueprint, but they put this baby together. So I failed at all the tests on the other forms of braiding. So one is called MAPPA. MAPPA, and let me just tell you, now it's called different things in different parts of Africa, per what Cheryl just said, but baby, your brain, it is just, because they say that the cornrow braiding is really not for children because of the way you tug. So they don't really recommend that style for that technique because of the hairline. The mappa braiding is the way that you can braid the hairline. It catches every hair, no fingernails, no braiding wax. It'll blow your mind. So that was number 1, that braiding has different levels. They have so many different, they have 4/4, they have 5/5, they have tressa, they have cornrow braiding, and they have 2-strand twist. So you're working your way down the braiding skills, okay? And you have to pass this on your cosmetology exam. Boop! Mic drop. Boop! Okay, so they have found a way to monetize it over there. So that's a good thing. Okay, that's number one. And number two, they don't have the concept of cultural appropriation. What do you think about that, Cheryl? They don't see. Let me mute that. Let me mute that.
I completely would agree. I think that when you get to the appropriating portion, you are being Eurocentric. Afrocentricity is all inclusive. It is appreciating other people's culture. It is allowing people to appreciate yours. That is what Afrocentricity in its most humane expression. When you start getting into one over the other, and that dichotomous logic has to be one or the other, and that is Eurocentric.
Mm.
And hair is to be manipulated. It's to be, you know, culturally expressive any way you want it. And once you get into things that you can't do, and one says you can't do it, that's when you start getting into your Eurocentric ideology.
Well, well, well. You see why I call her unapologetically brilliant? If y'all don't hit that like button, I'm about to come through this screen if y'all don't go ahead on and hit that. You know what I'm saying? That's a Eurocentric ideology. So they have zero concept of cultural appropriation. I talked about that. Fatu was like, no, we have none of that here. Don't even. And I was like, oh, what? And she was like, no. So and I remember this is West Africa and the Gambia. I'm not speaking for the entire continent, okay? And of course, this is Fatu's opinion, but I will tell you that from what I could see while I was over there, they just have no concept of that. They feel like it's a gift from from the ethers, and everybody can use it. We just did it first, I guess.
And not only that, it's not the first time in history that Europe has braided and has not come into colonialism. Was a very long span of time. So when you look at, you know, the 17th, 18th century, and you look at European ponytails and their braiding styles and their hairstyles, they look very familiar. And that's why. But Africa never held it back and said, oh, because you know, there's a different concept of racism in the continent that's just not brutal and inhumane and brutal like the one that was in the continental U.S. during those eras. But I will say that no, they I'm sure they don't have a concept of that.
All right, so that's how it's going down. Cause I see you, McCombs, because I was gonna come through this screen if y'all didn't hit that like button. I'm going off up here in these YouTube streets. Cheryl, she got her little pink hat on. I got my little pink lace, cause y'all know I'm a hoochie mama. You know, you gotta represent the hoochies and the heezy up in here, okay? So yeah, so cultural appropriation is not an African thing. That is not, you know, they ain't having that up. They like, get on out of here with your orange and ketchup and mustard hair, all right? Okay, the third thing that I learned about braiding when I visited Africa. Now, you guys can see my interview of the Stone Man. May he rest in peace. So I had the blessed opportunity to go over into Senegal to the island of Janjambura. And so this is where they took Kunta Kinte. So they took Kunta Kinte from Kunta Kinte Island, and they brought him over to the island of Janjambure. And so this is where the Wasu stones are. And so so every culture has their story of origin. Okay, you guys are gonna love this one. So I asked the Stone Man, you know, what is the story, the history of braiding? You know, of braiding, okay? So now this is according to Stone Man. So Stone Man is like a griot, by the way. We're like, well, who is he? He's a griot. He is the most widely respected griot in the country of the Gambia and Senegambia. Everybody goes to the Stone Man for everything, even UNESCO. Okay, okay. So the Stone Man says that there are only two. You can only come from two tribes on the entire planet. You're either Wolof or you're Mandingo. Period. They ain't up for all this stuff we talking about. You know, the little borders of Ethiopia. You're either Wolof or Mandingo. They don't care what color you are. You're either a light African or a dark African. But as far as they're concerned, we're all Africans, okay? And so he says that if you look at the palm of your hand, you can either see a M or a W. And that verifies to them that the whole humanity is either Wolof or Mandingo. Okay? And so when it comes to the braiding, when you intertwine those three braids, what do you see? A W or an M. And so, with that perspective, they see, like women as the birthers of, like, the arts and all this other. He tells the story much better than I. So I find that very, very interesting. So those are the three things that I learned about braiding when I went to West Africa. So rest in peace, Stone Man, and everybody in the chat. When you see this on YouTube, you'll see people in the chat like, Americans are so stupid. Why they over here wasting that man's time? She need to go. I mean, they lit my ass on fire. Can y'all believe that? They was checking Kilo Low. Like, get your ass back over to Africa. Coming over here asking this man about where braids and all this other nonsense come from. But, I say this all the time. That's that trained Negro stuff. But hey, how do you learn, Cheryl? You've got to be stupid enough to put yourself out there like that. So that is exactly what I did, okay? So now let's get into the topic a little bit more. We got some history. So now let's talk about cornrow braiding and the technique, okay? We see a lot of excessive tugging and pulling and braiding and twisting all of this onto the hair because people want their braids to be tight, because they want the braids to last. So talk about tight braiding. Will it make the braid style last? And of course, we're going to talk about the products that we use on these styles as well. But Cheryl, let's talk about the technique of braiding hair. What's happening to the scalp? What's happening to the skin when you begin with this? I want my braids to be tight, slayed, and laid.
I think we mentioned that towards the end of the last program. I make sure that I replenish my braids every 2 days. And it's not about, fashion anymore. It's not about anything. It's about, I don't want to take the time. I don't want to take the time. I want to be able to go somewhere and not have to do my hair. And I think that just in the quietness of Black women groups, no matter what, I don't care if it's church or if it's politics or if it's healthcare, when we are pressed for time and we are pressed for stress, and when Black women have to weigh the odds and give up things, because one of the things that we do also get into, we have to admit, we don't want to do our kids' hair. It's about if I can stretch it and not have to do it, and I don't have to do anything. That's the only reason why we cut our children's hair. It's because of time, and which is understandable. In the real world, that's understandable. But what you give up at a price of it could possibly be traction alopecia or weight alopecia. You could be giving up discomfort because you have more nerves in your scalp than you do vessels. You have more, in other words, it is basically, you're going to feel the constriction of nerve endings before you'll deal with circulation. There's more nerves in your scalp. And so, in other words, I will say that trading comfort when when it's creating a message to the autoimmune system that there's something wrong. And then you begin to have the throb. That's not circulation, ladies. That's a throb. And that is a message that sends inflammation and an injury and sends wound healing and tightness and discomfort, because you have to remember everything is an autoimmune response. And so, just out of not wanting to deal with it and having lack of time, how that dovetails into health issues and then conditions and disorders. It's all connected.
I'm sorry. So, what is it about tight braiding that makes the hair, come out? Give us. We know we see the, like the thing about tight braiding is that it doesn't always the way it looks. It looks very neat. So it's very deceiving. How are we supposed to know what's neat and what is tight? Because I would take this now. I'm not trying to put her down. I'm really not. So please don't y'all come after me because I'm not. I ain't scared now. Tell them the calls go. I'm not scared, okay? So let's take this product here. And this is by this wonderful braider. She's a licensed cosmetologist out of New York. And her name is Magic Fingers. I don't know if you guys noticed this, but when you braid with these waxes, the hair begins to set tight. And I don't know what's that phenomenon. It doesn't happen with hair grease, I can tell you that much. But something about using the wax as the hairstyle begins to set, the braids get tighter. So explain to everybody in the chat, like how do they know? Because some people think it's supposed to feel that way. My son told me he has no nerve endings up in his brain because my sister braided his hair so tight that he can't even feel it anymore. So how can you decipher the tightness and the neatness? So how are people supposed to know to communicate to the braider that could be too tight?
Well, again, the good job is connected to how long it lasts. Now, one of the things that I do, I rarely get my hair braided unless I'm doing it, right? So I did go to an African braider, and the conversation was peculiar and odd because the moment I told her, I says, I'm going to gauge you and how tight I want my hair. Now, think of the convoluted conversation that happens. And she says, well, I want it to last. I says, okay, well, then that means that I says, well, how much are you going to charge me? She says, I'm going to charge you $65 just to have them about 5 or 6 braids going back. I says, well, why don't you charge me $10? Don't do them tight. I'll come back and I'll get them redone every week. And so she goes, now that is a disruption in the thought in the thought process, because I have time for me, and I'd rather come back to have a healthy scalp and still have edges within the next 10 years. So I'm willing to come here every week, and you charge me. Now, how many weeks is it? She said 4. I said, so if you charge me $15, what's 15 times 4? I said, well, that's the same money because you're not pulling out my hair. How about that? We're not doing that. So why don't you just charge me and then just braid it nicely? So what I was saying is that feel and comfort and health I placed first. She can get the same money and see me more often. But you mess around and do it too tight, you may not ever see me again. And so we just have to start having smart conversation with them, because at the end of the day, if you have a pili muscle, right, you have nerve endings, right, and once you pull the genetic material out and you keep doing that, then at the end of the day, the autoimmune system starts to respond. And then there is other, consequences of a continuous, and then the body goes into autoimmune response, gives you pus, causes redness, causes swelling, inflammation, and it begins to heal. But then once it keeps wound healing, and then there's an imbalance, then you create scar tissue, lack of neuropathy, which is probably the young man has. He has no more, he can't feel a pin. Some of the tissue begins to die. And all of those things are in the autoimmune response. Hot, then it becomes red and hot, and then it becomes discomfort. And then, I mean, that is not a healthy way to. And then, two, let me just be clear: braids should not be in there longer than 2 weeks, because at the end of the day, one hair, one follicle can only hold. So even the months and months and months that, in months, if you even keep it in 4 weeks, it is just not a healthy thing. It's not a healthy thing because of dirt or cleanliness, which is hygiene, which is different. We're talking about growth in genetic hair care, because hair is supposed to grow. Black people's hair is supposed to grow upward, not downward. And that's why most natural hairstyles have caused hair loss.
Okay, we got two things here. I'm about to, here come Kilo Low. Y'all ready? Here I come. Let me crack my knuckles on this. First of all, Cheryl, do you know how much these damn braid hairstyles cost? That's number one. Number two, how do I know that my braider even knows what you just said about womb healing, erector pili muscle, and all this autoimmune on your scalp and everything? I mean, that's the bigger issue. Is that this service costs in excess of 200, which I'm gonna come back to the whole cost of the braids in a minute, but that's the thing.
Absolutely.
So if we're spending a minimum of 100 and up, all right, and you're saying that every 2 weeks I should come back, and then how is my braider? How does the braider know the things that you know? So let's talk about the cost of the braids, because that's what most customers associate the cost of the braid. Well, all hairstyles are associated. If it costs, somehow it should last. That's one. And then two, the education of the actual braider. How do braiders know what you just said? I'm gonna mute this. Hold on, y'all. Hold on.
Mm-hmm. Well, let me ask you a question. You're assuming that tension is synonymous with neat, is it? Well, wait, who synonymized those two together? And you do know the price of it. We're going to be talking about it next week. And that's the edges, and that's scalp, and that's discomfort, and that's stress, and that's anxiety, and that's bald head, and that's hair coming out. We do know the price. We're talking about a redefining of what it is that we need to do culturally, so we can make our cultural hairstyles growth enhancing, instead of trying to focus on protective hairstyling. Because I don't think that when you go to the hairstylist, you have to keep telling her, "Excuse me, ma'am, I can't raise my eyebrows." I mean, that's just not appropriate. That's just not okay. There's nobody who goes to any institution. There's nobody who goes to any institution, a surgeon, anything, that gets a procedure. They give you pain medication. So what are we saying? Now we got to have hairstylists and braiders be able to prescribe ibuprofen? What are we saying? Makes no sense.
Well, they do. They do tell you to take a pill before you come in. Though I've never. These types of things alarm me. Okay. I have to give a couple of shout outs before we keep it going. What's up, Sister Nia Kobe, Miss Howard? I love seeing you in the chat. My BFF, I see you in the chat. Welcome, welcome, welcome. McCombs girl, because you rock with me and Key Lolo all day long. Miss Liz Marie, welcome. Don't forget, you guys, drop your questions in the chat. My boss, Terry Ali. And then over here on Facebook, we got my homegirl, Mig Mig. What's up, what's up, what's up? Here we go about the whole tightness and the tension. Okay, I'm not understanding the concept of the tight braid, and then you put the net on top, and then you put it under the guise of protection. Like, customers feel like if I braid the hair up, my hands are tied, kind of like off limits, so to speak, so that I'm not constantly, messing up the hair, because it's the heat styling, it's the hair coloring. These are the things, the relaxers, that messes up hair. Braiding the hair is what they think is protecting. I don't understand the protection. I don't understand the whole concept of a protective hairstyle. That is the most asinine. I don't even know how folks is falling for it. You can get mad if you want to. I don't give a flying flute fart. That is a ripoff. And so, talk to us about braiding the hair down, and then you're gonna take this piece, right? And you're gonna leave this piece out. Y'all know what I'm talking about. And then you're gonna fold the hair over to make it blend, so it can look natural, as if that hump over that net or that weft is not going to somehow compromise the hair. So talk about tacking more stuff. We're talking about your crochet. We're talking about your knotless or dookie braids. Don't act like y'all not know about the dookie braids. And then, of course, your sew-in. What are the dangers I know y'all love them. I know people are like, whatever, cashmere sweater. But I'm telling you guys, you're being hoodwinked and bamboozled. So let's talk about tacking stuff on top. Your faux locks. Give us all of that, Cheryl. All of it. What are the dangers of that? Or maybe they're not. Could that be redefined as well?
I don't think that there's any one danger. I don't think there's any one danger. I think when the danger comes in, when you gauge it by two, there's a miscommunication, because the hair braider just wants to synonymize need with pain. Okay. So what she is saying is, I don't want any of the other little hairs that can pop out, which makes your hair unneat. I don't want them being loosed around. I want it so straight. So when most women say, well, how did you make it to 55 with all your edges and your back and everything? And I just simply say to them, I says, are you admiring my hairline? You're like, girl, you rocking that hairline. Okay, well, that's because I didn't have every hair in place. So I'm not admiring yours, but you're admiring mine. So then we have to decide, do we want neat at the sake of health, or do we just want to be, or we want health and the hairstyle to look gorgeous? Or we have to have hairstyles that accommodate the growth pattern, the follicle pattern, the, the health of the hair, the health of your feeling, how your scalp feels. Are we making hairstyles conducive to healthy scalp practices? And it also too, if you want to put that wax, that lays it down, that dehydrates it, okay, keeps it from moisture, Then, of course, y'all gonna complain about that because once you rinse that stuff out, your hair is what? Dehydrated and it's brittle and it's this and it's that. And then you're complaining about that. Why isn't my hair growing? Why does it all crumble within the next 2-3 weeks? And why does it do this? At the end of the day, look over everything else. No time. I protected it. And my whole thing is this question. One question, like I always ask conservatives, what are you conserving? My question is, who and what are you protecting it from?
Huh? Who and what are you protecting it from? Is what we want to know. Now, a
Can
little bit
anybody
more.
answer it? Can you answer it?
Yeah, so I can't answer. What are we protecting? Talk about. To me, it's because I'm on the outside looking in. Is that it's protecting you from touching it? I think that's what they're saying. That somehow, if you're in your hair, you're breaking it off because you have a lot of licensed professionals who's promoting that if you put this sew-in into your hair, you leave it in for 6 months, and when you take this down, then voila, you have all of this hair. So there's dangers in leaving anything sewn on top of the head for 6 months.
Okay, let's
Six
say.
months, and that
Okay,
you can watch this. You can watch this, Cheryl.
okay, let's say you leave it in for 6 months, right? And you take it out, and you're gonna have 6 months, and you're gonna have all this matted hair, right? Okay. Now we have to comb it out. So first of all, the moment that a person sees 6 months worth of fallen hair that would have fell out prior to that, anyway, so that they're gonna be scared because that hair is gonna be on the floor. Then some premature hairs probably could be on the floor for just lack of constriction. Now, let me actually give you guys a mental picture. Just a mental picture, right? Have you guys ever seen or known anyone or yourselves to have broken your wrist, hand, or arm? You?
Repeat that. Your phone got a little fuzzy. Repeat that one more again.
Okay. Does anyone know or have you had a broken arm, a broken wrist, or hand? Okay. Now, when you put it in the cast like they do back in the day, right? What did your arm start to feel like? It started to itch. That's the first thing. It started to feel tight, and then the muscles started to get weak, right? But most of all, ladies, the diameter of your arm shrunk. So that is exactly what happens when you wrap, extension, or any type of constriction on the hair. The diameter gets thinner. So it's not your imagination that your hair is thinner. So now 6 months. Let's just say we did 6 months. So they say, voila, you're going to have 6 months more hair. No, you have 6 months less hair. So the investment of putting it away and protecting it is your ROI is not consistent with health. Does that make sense, ladies? I mean, because come on now, I'm a cosmetologist. I understand about charging and making money and doing all that, but the price of our ignorance is unparalleled.
All right.
You muted.
Oh yeah, I feel like that commercial. Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
You're muted. You're muted. Okay. Yeah. So I hope you guys are understanding the whole protective style. First of all, you guys got to understand this. We are in business. We're not in love. Can I repeat this again? We are in business. We are not in love. Okay. We love our careers. We do love you. But you gotta understand, we gotta sell y'all something. Now, sometimes we gotta package this stuff up so we can get your money. And so the protective hairstyle is just a way to package something to get your money. But you didn't hear this from me and Cheryl, okay? So watch out. And now I'm going to talk about the company. It's called AK Hair Healing. That's the name of the company that's promoting that you can leave your sew-ins for 6 months. You're going to return to their licensed professionals who's going to wash your hair with the sew-in and then they're going to, I guess at some point they might have to retighten it, because we all know that in a couple of weeks, I don't care what you put on the hair, it's going to lift. You're going to see the hair begin to come and grow away from the scalp. So I take it at some point they're going to retighten this down. But here's something I want you guys to really, really think about, okay? I would love for every single person, if you are watching this live or post the live, to look at the hair of the people who promote this stuff. Look at the hair of the person. Okay, that's number one. Number two, when you look at these people's social media feeds, scroll down into the feeds and see how many repeat customers do you see. Every time somebody comes to the hair salon and they bring me an image of most of the times it is weave, okay? I always ask them, scroll through her images and tell me how many times did you see that customer come back through on that picture, because that's a red flag. All right. And then number two, look at their own hair. I'm serious now. Look at the technician's hair. And at the Reverence Design Team Hair Salon, if you can't do your own hair, you can't work here. Bottom line. You cannot. You can't work here. Go ahead, Cheryl.
No, is that the same policy as the nail salons? You see the Asian nail salons?
Yeah.
Your toes and your hands have to be done.
Guys, you guys have to look for the obvious, okay? I have never passed out a business card. Never. And I don't care. I wear my hair braided and everything. I've done all of it. You name it, I've done it, okay? I've never done a weave, though. But I'm telling you, wherever I go, people stop me. I'm talking about, I feel like a movie star on some days, okay? You have to really, really, really look at the technician themselves, and don't just look at really inspect the hairline. You know, hey, come on up, Kilolo. Let me see that. What you got going on there? When you look at this lady's video, you will notice that her hairline is severely compromised. That's one. Two, the age. So let's talk about this. Now we about to really go there. Not sure. We got a couple of more minutes and we going there. All of the people who are getting this stuff, you gotta understand, a lot of them already have a lot of hair. We're talking about density. In order for you to get any type of a braid style, you need hair. So people who are in the thinning, pre-thinning, I don't know what you might call that, Cheryl, these styles are not for you. I cannot tell you how many people, when they're twisting those lock styles and they're so tight, I mean, the locks, they start off with like 100 locks. You look up, they have like 10 left. You don't see old people with locks, not in that large number. So talk about aging, pulling tight on the hair, and then again, what we call that, retention. People coming back.
We will see that there is a aging when it comes to hair as a hormonal thing, because estrogen is a feminizing, but it's also a beauty hormone, and it starts to drip off after about 30. So so you don't have any help from Mother Nature after about 30. And with males, it's kind of like the reverse. The testosterone begins to drop, and what is left there is the estrogen that did balance it out. They get slower. They get usually with age, males get a little more feminizing, which means just slower and calmer. And maybe after, if there is no health issues, they're almost like less likely to anger, wise, wisdom. They have to use other faculties instead
I'm
of
single. I'm single. What are all brothers that I need me an old play up in the house? Go ahead, Cheryl.
so. Um, but here's the thing: we all saw Susan Taylor, and we saw Stevie Wonder. They have no hair now, and they have worn a protective hairstyle their whole entire life. So we have to be able to take a look at that. This is a scalp health care issue. This is not just being strictly devoted to a culture and Africanness and blackness. No, this is a follicular issue. It is taking the weight off of it, being it allowed to be free and to create hair styling. And let me just say this: I would say women in Africa, they do change their hairstyles a lot often. Okay. And so, and locks is just not a real African thing, not like it is in the Western Caribbean world, in the Western world. And so, the best thing to do here is when you begin to even hunt for a hairstylist, you do want them to at least have their hair, and you and you want it done, and you want it neat, and you want them to be able to share techniques and methods and regimens with you. But like I will always say, that if you want, you know, to have healthy hair, you have to have a doctor that is healthy. You don't want a doctor that's sneezing and coughing and got COVID and supposed to tell you how to run your immune system. So that would not be a good thing. Wouldn't trust it. I just wouldn't trust it. Okay. And it's almost like you see a brother walking at the mall and he got on a jersey and he got on sneakers and he, about 200 pounds over probably his natural weight. Don't trust him to try to help you work out. I mean, it's just, it's basically the same thing. He ain't no athlete. He ain't playing no b-ball. He ain't out there on the court. You know what I mean? So I think that, our standards are, I think we need a whole reboot. We need a whole reboot because,
Okay. Okay, we need a whole reboot. So we're gonna wrap this up. We got a few more minutes. She said reboot. So when you talk about rebooting, you're talking about these things, all right? This braiding, locking, twisting. Because here, the Institute for Justice says that braiding education for braiders is an impediment to employment. So they don't. So in the United States, we have 32 states where braiders do not have to have any education, and we're gonna. This gets covered in the documentary. I wish the documentary. It was hard trying to condense this baby down, but should braiders have education? Your braiders, your locticians. Again, people coming to the salon. Do you guys have any loctician? I'm like, you mean that's like magician? Like a loctician? What we making up stuff now, y'all. A loctician. How do you know the education of a loctician? Where is it coming from? I want you to talk about these terms of loctician and braidologist, and you see them with the white coats on. Okay, so how do we accommodate? How do we redefine these natural hairstyles? I love the way you put that. When we don't know, or do you think, should these natural hairstylists have education? And then I will say this. The quality of a braiding experience it's sickening compared to what you can get in a hair salon. I walk past some braiding parlors, and I know some salons is nasty too. I know that. I know we got some nasty hair salons, but these braiding places, I don't know, guys. I don't know about unregulated places and the whole hot dipping your hair in hot water. So, in redefining, and you're gonna get a lot of people pissed off, but I say they should. I did fight. I will admit, and I'm on record, and I will personally take responsibility because I did that here in the state of Ohio. I went to that Senate and I acted a mother fud plucking fool up in there talking about these natural hairstylists do not need education. So talk about education and why the cost fluctuates on the braiding. Okay, talk about that a little bit as we wrap it up.
Hmm. Well, here's the thing. I do think that the Y2K natural hair movement, um, I think we could have done without that whole movement only because of two reasons. The destruction of the industry in the industrial complex. That's number one. Number two, there is no other industry that belongs to any other race of people that has dismantled an industry like YouTube University. There's no doctors who got on YouTube. They may have given and showed you physical techniques, but YouTube will never, never, never replace medical school. YouTube will never replace law school. It will never replace certain things, and it's unfortunate that cosmetology did not step up. But you never had to teach the afro, even though Mr. Morrow taught you how to comb it, right? Mr. Morrow showed you how to feel it and give you all these instructions, taught the military and all of that. And it had nothing to do with regulation and government regulating. Now, should I think that natural hair care? Well, let me just go say this. I would like to do away with the term natural because natural is not scientific, number one. Two, it is based out of it. Natural is is anti-chemical. It is not pro-natural. And because you had the lowest level of educated people leading Y2K movement, we then went Google to Google ingredients, and that was the level of the playing field. So it's unfortunate. But there is no such thing as natural hair education. It's only cultural education. You're only teaching culture to cultural techniques. It has nothing to do with government regulations. That's hygiene. So, and then if 50% of your natural hair uh, curriculum would be diet and hygiene and culture, then why do you need to regulate? That sounds like a certificate and let them go home. Why would you want to regulate something that you possibly couldn't teach in the first place on the state level?
Well, let me just say, hold on, wait a minute, hold on. Here we go. Now, let me just say this. So, why did you do that, Ladosha? Public safety and sanitation. That's all I could. That's all I could get out of it. I did not even know that your dad had this whole book and everything. But the nits, the lice. I mean, we had to come in with your hair washed. Oh man, Cheryl, you
But
got to see. I mean, go ahead.
but that's the dermatology already deals with that. That is not. And see, the reason why the dermatology and any other ology is not going to give you guys any higher education because they don't want you stepping on their industries. So trichology is fake at the end of the day. It's only in concert with maybe only go as far as supposed to be sold as some higher thing, you know. But we as cosmetologists have to force the issue. We've got to recreate, reboot, and rewrite and get back on the same page of what is conducive to Afro-ness. And Afro curly hair is a subject. Regardless of where you get into cosmetic treatments, salon treatments, or things of that nature. But it's the same thing as black skin. Black skin does present dermatology, some different discipline and approaches. But skincare in the umbrella doesn't. You can learn it in dermatology. But there's no such thing as natural skin. There's just no such thing. There's only one natural hair, and that's dominant phenyl trait, and that's Afro curly hair. That is the first human hair, dominant hair on the planet. What is that in terms of science? How does that behave in terms of the environments and chemicals and things of that nature? But to have natural hair is a subgroup akin to racism and akin to anti-chemical. And those things are not, it's just a whole convoluted approach, and you have people running it that is not classically, traditionally, and even scientifically trained. So that's just my spill, and that's just how I view it.
All right. So, and as you can tell by her spiel, that reflects or that explains why you see the pricing, going up and down. Braiding, all the styles. These people have mad skills with this stuff, but their price to me is not commensurate to the creativity and the skill set. And I know why the braid, to me, I think they don't want the braiders to have any education, because they know that if you get those braiders some education, those prices are going to quadruple. And so education, it does that. When people say all the time, well, what is history? History ain't gonna put no money in my pocket and all this. History is the biggest self-esteem booster. It does so much for you, your intellect. I can't, sure, maybe you could just, wrap that up about the power. Go ahead.
Well, let me just say this. You guys, black folks gonna lose it anyway. I don't know why they are trying to push for regulation, because Mexicans and Asians gonna come in and braid better than you. But they're already doing it, and they're doing it less expensive. They're doing it more creative. They're doing it quicker. So, I mean, why don't we pay attention to history? You can learn history, but gotta pay attention first. Don't let it repeat. You're gonna lose it, just like you lost the pedicure and manicure business. You guys started it. Black pedicurists and manicurists started it. Okay, well, here we go again. Let's pay attention. They're doing it already.
Yeah, let me just say this too. When I was in Liz, Marie, you're gonna love this. Well, check this out. When I was in Africa, right, in Gambia, and I'm working with them on the curriculum, and I kept doing this, colorist, master stylist, master cutter, like all the, and they just kept like, what the damn, and you white, they kept calling me the white, we got to perform, and I was like, I was getting mad, dog. They kept calling me white. I'm like, stop calling me white. But I'm gonna tell you why I feel them, So they kept, so I could. It was a culture. You're talking about a cultural disconnect here. They could not understand the concept. Why would you get a full cosmetology license and only do the hair? Why don't you use the whole damn license? So when you're in the Gambia, you don't go to a hair salon and just get your hair done. No, boo-boo. They're going to do your hair. They're going to do your nails. They're going to do your makeup. They're going to do your feet. They don't even understand, and they all packed all onto each other. You walk up on, how you go into New York? Hey, the Gambia New York ain't got nothing on the Gambia, okay? They all tucked up under the bottom of the seat. Who walking down there? The feet people. And then up on top, how you reach up top? Who up there? The nail people. And I'm telling y'all, Cheryl is making some good, y'all got to understand this, right? Wow. So see, here with our westernized thoughts, that's what made the documentary so hard. Now, I hope y'all are going to be able to see it was a struggle because I'm just as western. I really am. They when they said white people perform, they ain't never lied. Okay, but fragmenting the cosmetology license, like when I say I do nails, like I did a nail line. People were like, well, why would you do a nail line? I'm like, because I'm a cosmetologist. We do hair, skin, and nails. And I use my whole license. I did a pedicure. I'm with them. So that's just something to think about when we talk about we fight for this education, but then we lose it. You
You go
know,
into a
we
barbershop, all you can do is get a cut, and they up there complaining about how they gonna get the prices up. I mean, it just don't. We do the dumbest shit. It's just amazing. It's just amazing.
Yeah, we want, and I'm going to say this as we wrap this up. Asar Imhotep, follow him, guys. Go check out brother Asar Imhotep. He is self-trained, but he has a degree in computer sciences. But he's a linguist, and he's really working in that space. But something he talks about on his channel now is deep. Don't go over there trying to be. No, don't do that. Don't do that, okay? And so what he says is, we can't microwave everything. I think the challenge for us, for all of us who just want to get something really quick, is not a good thing. Be prepared to go through the discipline of learning and being tested by someone who knows more than you. I can't tell you as a licensed cosmetologist how many classes I go into, and the hairstyle, they walk in like, she don't know. Yeah, I'm like, damn, let the lady talk. So you know what I'm talking about. Tell the truth. When you go to those CEU classes, cosmetologists be like, she don't know what the hell she talking about. I'm like, oh my god. I like to learn. Okay, you got to be at the feet or the seat of the masters. You're being black ain't gonna get you through everything, y'all. Being black just ain't enough. So to say I'm black. That's how I know how to braid. I'm black. You gotta have a little bit more than the little melanin, if you know what I'm saying. Braiders, you need some education. Like Cheryl said, I don't know about the regulation, but we gotta have something. And so she says, let's redefine. So hopefully with the narrative, we're gonna be able to get that conversation going, because the biggest problem is that we haven't stood up. And Cheryl and I, we're going to be bold, and we're going to stand up for the industry, and we're going to talk about these narratives, okay? So get ready. The narrative is coming out on November the 11th, working diligently to make that happen. And then also we're going to go ahead on and upload the actual trailer, and we want to get some feedback. We want y'all to share it. And this is how we got 7 lucky people. 7 is our lucky number. So that's how it's going down. No, Miss Howard, we cannot push a button and learn. And Miss Howard, you made the last comment in the chat. So send me your email address, and I'm going to send you over some of this beautiful satin tame that you can use it for all purposes, okay? For your braids, your silk press, your kids, your deodorant. You run deodorant, just spray some underneath your arms, put some on your face. It's very multifaceted, and this is from the makers of Deca Plus. So email me your address. I mailed off a lot of goodies last week. We had Shavis. I forgot the other 2 people. We had 3 people got some goodies last week. I should have wrote down their names. But anywho, so Miss Howard, you wrote the last one in the chat. So email me. Y'all come on now, because we always giving away stuff. Y'all might end up with a whole hair care wardrobe messing around with me and Cheryl, okay? Next week, we're going to be talking about those edges, okay? Them edges that you want slayed, and don't you look at your edges, man. I done cut them off. I don't have that. We're gonna talk about that baby hair and all that good stuff. How do you take and slick them down? Y'all know we talk about them slayed edges, okay? So thank you guys so very much, and you know what we say when we're signing out. All right, look for the trailer that's coming, and we are always talking about a whole. Oh wait a minute, Cheryl, I'm rude. Did you want to wrap something up? I'm sorry. Did you want to wrap something up about the? You good? Because I be ghetto. You say I'm good.
Yeah, I'm good. I'm good.
Okay, because y'all know I be ghetto. Y'all know me. I be like, sure, move all out the way. Scoop, scoop. Yeah, so she's the smart one. Remember, I'm the hood one, okay? So anywho, you know what we say when we're always signing out, right? Thank you so much. Come on back, Liz. It was beautiful to see you in the chat. Come on back next week, guys. We're going to be talking about the edges. In the meantime, we are always talking about the dumbest shit that people say about black hair, but we only do it in the spirit of a whole lot of peace. For sure, a whole lot of love, and most certainly a whole lot of hair. Y'all like my new hair color? Kendra done hooked a girl up. Did y'all? Ow! Okay, I got my color popping, all right? A whole lot of peace, a whole lot of love, a whole lot of hair. And definitely, check this out. If you ain't got no hair, don't want no hair, can't stand hair, hell, you plan on cutting it off, you got some bald patches, don't worry about that. It's all good. We don't care. Because all that shit's beautiful too, and so are you. Deuces next week is all about the edges.